Hey, how's it going? This is Southern Wild Child for the Blog Nation, where you can say what you want, when you want, how you want. All we ask is, please, keep it real. Now, today is a very special one. We're going to be responding back to, I'm going to be responding back to Michael Eric Dyson's new vlog. Now, Michael Eric Dyson is the author and Georgetown University professor of sociology. Michael Eric Dyson was recently asked on his video blog channel, why do the poor in red states always vote against their own interests? Not only was this a great question, but it raised a lot of emotional and passionate answers from people all over the country. While the question was originally asked in a non-racial focus, Michael Eric Dyson quickly and honestly restructured and redirected the question to a more racially biased demographic, where the question returns to, why do poor white Republicans vote against their own interests? Now, let's get started with a clip from his show and we'll break it down from there.
Why do the poor in red states always vote against their own interests? Makes you go, that's a great question. And the answer, I think, is similar to what Martin Luther King Jr. faced when he was in the Birmingham jail. And he said he had a white jailer there. And he asked the jailer, do you fare any better than I do? Do you have any better options in terms of economics and social standing and status? And, of course, the answer was no. And Dr. King's response to him is, you would gain more by joining with us, by not allowing the people who are jailing me to imprison your economic future. And I would say the same thing about the red states here. The poor in the red states are blinkered by those people in high status and economic, politically speaking as well, who prevent the solidarity that could be generated between poor people who are black and Latino and who are Asian and who are African American. They would have much more in common. But the racist division, the classist division, and the geographical dislocation continues to work against the best interests of poor people. And I would say to those poor people in the red states, the policies that are being promoted by the Tea Party and by the right wing have nothing to do with enabling you to have a better education for your children or to have a better time at your employment. Those who fight for fair wages, those who fight for the benefits of economically, and those who fight for your health care are, I'm sorry, in the blue, not in the red.
Nice. Really nice. Good job, Michael Eric Dyson. I can see that Princeton education really kicked in there for you, huh? You know, I personally found Michael Eric Dyson's response to be correct, but not complete. It's like he gave us an orange with a peel still on it and asked us how we like the taste. Michael Eric Dyson honestly gave us an answer, but it was so simple and surface level that it didn't really answer the question, in my opinion. Now, I honestly believe that in this time period that, Michael Eric Dyson is referring to, the whole Martin Luther King Jr. story, it was a totally different dynamic back then between poor whites in the red states and the minorities in the blue ones. I believe that it was a dynamic that President Lyndon B. Johnson understood and said better than anyone in history, at least when it came down to race relations. And he said, and this is my impression, okay? Check this out. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you pick his pocket. Hell, he'll give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for ya. Now, you get what he's saying there, right? So, this is what Lyndon B. Johnson said, and this is what Michael Dyson said. Let's hear what people around the country had to say about that question. Why do poor whites vote in the red states vote against their own interests? Now, Linda E. Ruth from New York, she said, all you have to do is be obsessively pro-gun, oppose abortion, and hint at racism. And that's her reasoning for why, poor white people vote conservative in the red states. And Brian Collier and his beautiful wife from Griffith, Georgia, they said, funny, that the poor have been voting for Democrats for decades and they're still poor. That's fucked up, Brian, but true. Upshaw Vincent Briggs is a jazz musician coming in from Vine Grove, Kentucky. He wrote, my guess is that they're too stupid to understand this truth and are too racist to want to change. Okay. William Jennings from Shreveport, Louisiana said, could be they vote Republican because they don't want the handouts the Democrats offer. Also, show me how the Democrats help lift people from poverty. All the handouts do is keep the oppressed down and poor. They buy their votes with the free stuff. While the beautiful Penny Jane Hansen from Bloomington, Indiana wrote, because although they believe that greed is good, Bigotry is sacred. They will vote the milk right out of the baby's bottle for the candidate that professes loudest their bigotry. All in all, they're just very stupid people with irredeemable character flaws. Alright. Mark Holgrove, a barber out of Dallas, Texas, he wrote, "This post doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. They just want the freedom to live how they want without government dependence. Under conservatives' values, you can be poor 1 minute and come up with a great idea and be rich, or live comfortable with the next being able to keep more of your money for your ingenuity and creative ideas. It's not about being rich or poor, it's about the freedom of living your own life." And that was a black man, I'll be damned. Okay. Well, yeah. You heard it here. Now, if I had to summarize what the general divisiveness that comes down to the handling of this powerful question based off of these responses, it would probably be something like this: that the liberals basically believe that the poor whites in the red states are uneducated, overly religious, and bigoted on several different levels to a point where it clouds their judgment. Okay? Bigoted to a point where it's self-destructive. And the conservatives, on the other hand, believe that liberals are lazy people with questionable morals and hard work ethics, lacking pride and accountability, who want less government interference and the possibility to become rich and wealthy. That's my take on how they are. Now, the differences between these two mentalities are like night and day, and that's why neither one of us understand each other. I mean, the liberals view things in a very practical and existential way. I'm a liberal. We believe that conservatives are anti-poor. We believe that conservatives are pro-rich. Money and wealth distribution is the non-personal secular platform that we should all be able to agree with if we were all being perfectly honest. Now, I'm sorry, conservatives, but that is a fact. Okay, the conservatives are generally very anti-poor, and this is about you poor people, or white people, and the conservatives are pro-rich. Okay, and you vote conservative, which means you're voting against what's best for you. Okay, now this is what the question was really about. Think about it. Now, here's the thing about us liberals. Even though I call myself a liberal, I'm probably more almost like a socialist, to be honest with you, than a liberal. But here we go. We liberals, we have an extremely myopic and very bigoted view. Okay, we assume that money should be the primary factor. And with most of us liberals in urban and non-Bible belt states, that is the primary factor. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think we're absolutely right. Economics should be the most important concept, especially since we live in a capitalistic society. But that's my opinion. My very liberal/socialist opinion. Now, I'm a gamer. I love to play Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Best thing about it for me is joining clans with people all over the country. In particular, I was blessed enough to befriend several young people who live in states like Oklahoma, Texas, Iowa, Nebraska, and I learned so much from them. And one of the most important things I learned was that conservatives in these red states actually take a certain amount of pride in being poor, but as long as they're ethical and moral. I want to repeat that because I think that's really important, and I think that goes over the heads of most of us. I learned that the conservatives in red states actually take a lot of pride in being poor, as long as they're very ethical and moral. Now, most of us honestly do not believe that they will ever be rich, and I don't think they really care. They believe in working their asses off, playing hard, and having a strong relationship with Jesus. That's important, okay? Jesus, not Allah, not any of those other people. Okay. Now, I want to revisit that black conservative barber from Dallas, Texas, because I honestly believe that conservative views are not as racially propagated as we liberals believe that they are in the blue states. Okay, so on this page, this is what I found interesting. I found it on a Facebook page, something that Mark had put up there, and we'll take a look at that. Mark Hargrove, barber from Dallas, Texas, wrote, A&E just suspended Duck Dynasty star for saying, "Jesus saved my life. The Bible teaches that men and women were meant to be together." And he bent over backwards to reassure the LGBT community that those were not their views. Now, the noose is tightening fast on us as Christians. His comments in GQ are dead on. in terms of biblical truth. Remember, no army ever conquered Rome. Immorality, homosexuality, destroyed the Roman Empire. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a disgrace to any people. Okay. Now, this is the part about conservative states that scares the living shit out of me, and what we should be concerned about. It is the obvious and intentional miseducation of their people by the powers that be in order to maintain these conservative values and political affiliations. See, when he said that no army ever conquered Rome, it was immorality and homosexuality. See, check out. I heard tons of those comments just like this from those young people in those red states. All right. Now we all know that Rome was conquered by the Franks, the Burgundians, and the Vandals, whatever. A bunch of Germans. However, even though the statement homosexuality conquered Rome, it wasn't meant or taught as a metaphysical or metaphoric allegory. A vast majority of people in red states still believe in things like creationism and that evolution is a lie. So they believe, to them, this is their truth. You wouldn't believe how many texts are taught that North Korea doesn't have any nukes, but Iran does. Okay? They taught this in schools. Did you know that in Texas they actually have Texas classes where they teach kids Texan folklore and Southern propaganda? Don't forget, these are also schools where religion, specifically Christianity, is still taught and fostered in public schools. This is the real reason why they vote conservative so vigorously. Their religious beliefs compel them to vote conservative. Their morality over economics value system compels them to vote conservatively. What we liberals view as racism and bigotry, and yes, my hell, yes, it is bigotry. I mean, some bigots down there. We call it bigotry, but for them it isn't really based primarily off of hatred like we perceive bigotry. But their bigotry is more tradition, and they hate change. Ultimately, what you're seeing is a clash of cultures, and we refuse to respect their culture as much as they refuse to respect ours. They always feel like they're the victims, like, liberal media and liberal this, and they hold on to that because they're not really just defending a political party like we see it. They think we're attacking their morals, their ethics, their religion. With them, they're very like this, okay? Liberals, not so much, if at all. Okay, but conservatives, they mix their religion and their morals and their ethics right in with their politics. And they do this because they're taught to do this. It's their culture. They vote based on their culture. They don't vote based off of true politics in the sense of, like, say, how liberals do. Now, that's my take on it. I would love to hear yours. So here's what you do. You can either write, a comment to me, but I really prefer if you just take your video camera, cell phone, videotape yourself responding to what I just said. Email it to vblognation@gmail.com, and I will post it up here and respond back. All right? Let's, something really stupid. Even then I probably still respond back because stupidity kind of cracks me up. But honestly, get your cell phones. You can do a Snapchat. You can do this. Record yourselves. Email it to me at vblognation@gmail.com. Let's start a dialogue because that's what this is all about. Just keep it real, and we are going to change the world one person at a time. Bye, guys.